Hello. Welcome to the court of the Edijester. How are we, good people? Something to sink our teeth into this morning from the marvellous Hadley Freeman, speaking in the Times with the heading, "Look out for the mafia with rainbow lanyards and diversity officers have terrorised workplaces, but their reign may be ending." This is from the Times on Sunday, July the 20th, as I've said, from Hadley Freeman. How are you doing there, Hadley? You're obviously doing all right if you're getting articles in the Telegraph. Not Telegraph, the Times. Good for you. Good for you, I say. Oh, before we start, can you share this? Subscribe, like, the usual. Buy me a coffee if you can help me keep going. Join my Substack. Join X as a subscriber. But most of all, come be a warrior teacher starting in October. I want to do some sort of like introductory sessions where people can come along. I'll have to think about it. I think that's probably something we should do. Fabulous stuff. Okay, so nothing in the world is more dangerous, says Hadley, than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. Martin Luther King Jr. said that a man I'd hope Isla Bumba, NHS Fife Equality and Human Rights Lead officer, had heard of, considering her job is improving diversity. Although given Bumba admitted last week that she wasn't entirely sure if she was a woman, it's probably best not to make assumptions. I love it. That's like a sort of metaphorical slap across the face. Have that. Bumba was testifying at Sandy Peggy's employment tribunal. I must first explain Peggy before I get to Bumba. In December 2023, Peggy, an NHS nurse with more than 30 years of unblemished service, went into the women's changing room of Victoria Hospital in Caldy because she had a heavy period and bled through her scrubs. There, she was surprised to encounter a 6-foot-tall, 27-year-old male undressing in front of her. This male is known as Dr. Beth Upton, and he had started identifying as a woman only the year before. I mean, he is a unit, isn't he? Bloody unit. Peggy complained that Upton was in the wrong changing room, and Upton complained that Peggy had committed a hate crime. This being Scotland, once the cradle of the Enlightenment, now a petri dish of gender woo at its most misogynistic, Peggy was accused of misgendering, the gravest of crimes in Scotland. Suspended, investigated, and threatened with the sack, Peggy filed a tribunal claim against Upton and NHS Fife, which began at the beginning of this year and resumed last week. I love how Hadley writes. It's got a superb sort of cadence going on. I really enjoy it. On Wednesday, NHS Fife admitted that its investigation had found insufficient evidence of any misconduct by Peggy. Of course there was insufficient evidence. There was no misconduct. This Lumpen 20 whatever his age is, bloke getting his meat and two veg out and dangling it around in the female changing room should have been arrested as a pervert. Not tolerated. It's extraordinary. Yet the trust apparently decided against settling, saying to her, "We're sorry, we got it wrong. Here's some money," in favour of spaffing away more public money by defending the case. Here's the problem, see, it's the public money, it's our money. Even as its board's investigation had ostensibly just quashed the investigation by finding nothing against Sandy, they continue to go, "Oh, it doesn't matter, it's public money." I've heard this from academics. "Oh, it doesn't matter, it's public money." Utter contempt. On Friday afternoon, NHS Fife issued a hilariously huffy statement. That's hilariously huffy. I love it. In which it blamed everyone but itself for being a national laughingstock. It objected to the polarised debate and said media coverage should distinguish fact from opinion. It's a shame the trust apparently doesn't ask that of its own doctors, given Upton's insists he is biologically male. Remember, this man is a doctor. An unfit one, by the way. I don't care what anybody says. If you think you're the opposite sex and you go around getting your, hoobie-doobies out in female changing rooms and dressing like you're some caricature of a woman, you're a mental case, and you certainly shouldn't be a doctor. In fact, most professions should exclude you. Who, you ask, could have been providing the brilliant advice in-house that they've been getting? Enter stage right. Bumba. This is a great summary, Hadley. Martin Luther King Jr. never met a diversity officer because they only became a fixture of workplaces in the past 5 years. I'd go back a wee bit further than that. They just had a different title, Hadley. But I can't better his description of sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity when summing up Bumba, who testified on Wednesday. This is such a good article. Who testified on Wednesday she didn't know her own sex because no one knows what the chromosomes are. Reminder again here, says Hadley, these people work in a hospital. Despite being asked for advice about trans policies frequently once a week, Bumba said she didn't actually have an official policy and so just asked other diversity officers what they did. It's like the mafia, but with rainbow lanyards. I had two takeaways from this exchange. First, nothing has been worse for the gender movement than the cleansing light of the courts. Absolutely. Put sunlight on these people, Operation Let Them Speak, and they end up beclowning themselves on the world stage, which is what gives me and others such tremendous joy. We like to win, then we like to gloat. That's what we do. I can thank Mandy from the West Wing for that line. Again and again, gender activists have lost because the public are all for supporting vulnerable minorities. They tend to do a double take when they hear claims like it's transphobic to say a lesbian can't have a penis. The law isn't infallible, but it does at least offer the detergent of sunlight. Secondly, no job has more of the whiff of 2020 than the diversity officer. They exist to confirm the employer's moral purity by improving diversity and inclusion. And they do this by quantifying minorities and gamifying vulnerabilities, keeping track of which disabilities are up and which are down, as if the human condition were a stock market. That's intersectionality is the word. Does dyslexia need its own awareness day? As the diversity officer at one friend's workplace decided? How about making pronouns on work emails mandatory? Well, is a man who identifies as a woman more deserving of protection than an actual woman? These are the kinds of hard questions the diversity officer must puzzle over daily, meaning those who apply for the job tend to have few talents other than scolding their colleagues. Oh, Hadley, you beauty. You absolute beauty. How can we not enjoy this? There's more to the article. I'm going to ask you to go and read it. The links are downstairs. What a superb write. Thank you very much indeed, Hadley. I really enjoyed this article. It hits just the right amount of sort of disdain as far as I'm concerned. But I look forward to hearing what you've got to say. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.